Hey, we're rolling. And we're rolling right into the 20th episode of Stoop Stories. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Yes, round of applause. It's been a fun ride. And the 20th episode, this is actually going to be the very best one, because chances are that today the Stoop has looked to you dead in the face, and your response to it is going to need what we're talking about in this episode today. So we're going to get off the Stoop, we're going to use it as a step, and we're going to level up today, because the topic today, Mr. Herron, is alignment. Mm-hmm. All right, so we have the CEO of Southwind. Man, Southwind is booming.
Yes.
You've built a great organization. We have myself, I'm LaDrew Murrell, the business coach here at Southwind. And once again, we'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. This is the 20th episode, so that's awesome.
Yes, indeed. Southwind is up to something, as they say. Lots going on here. And when you say you've built a great organization, I think I would say that we have all built something special together. And glad to continue to share philosophy and really just kind of everyday norms here at Southwind with all of our listeners. And, you know, with today's topic being alignment, that is one that we hold in high regard, as it is a core value of ours.
Without a doubt, you know, and as I say that you've done a great job, I also want to take this time to recognize Tyler, who's not on the podcast with us, but he's always here with us. And he's somebody that you were most certainly aligned with. And when you were building this, you guys were side by side, always being aligned, which doesn't mean you always agree. And I've been in the middle of conversations where you guys are aligned and don't see eye to eye at all. I know when I first got here, I was like, holy shit, these guys might get into a fight.
You weren't the only one, my man. And you know what? The funny thing about it is being in a partnership is a really amazing blessing. To have somebody who can balance you out is a really important part of life. And then, yes, we don't always agree on everything. Actually, we disagree on most things.
I agree.
But
with
what
that.
we can agree on are our beliefs of what it takes to be successful and our willingness to continue to push what we believe is possible. And I think we've always agreed that there's always more out there and more to be had. How we get there, we may disagree on, but ultimately we let meritocracy lead the way.
Without a doubt. And it is that keeps you aligned. So I'm going to paint a picture for alignment because, you know, we're going to go probably into a high-level conversation here. Mm-hmm. And we'll make sure that it applies to everybody. But I want to give this analogy for alignment so that we can all understand it. You know, I want to make this really, really simple for us. So I would assume you've been to the zoo before, correct, Josh?
Correct.
What's your, I don't know, top two animals to look at when you're there?
I like the polar bear. And I like going into the Africa part in the Kansas City Zoo and seeing, you know, the giraffes and the lions and the, all of them, right?
Okay, so the polar bear and the lion. I can align with that because I really like the lion and the tigers, okay? And here's what alignment is like. Alignment is like, you know, that glass in between you and the polar bear when it jumps in the water? Yeah. That's alignment. When you go to see the lion or the tiger, you know the bars that they're behind? That's alignment. There's an agreement there that, you know what, we can't pass that point. There's a security in that alignment for you and the lion or the polar bear. And only if there are tight boundaries that are measurable that we can all agree on, can we exist in a place where you can disagree, I can disagree, but the alignment that's in place, which is the barrier between right and wrong, that never changes, man, if that's in place, everything is possible within your organization. So much so that you can be in the same place that a lion is at and you feel safe. If you move the alignment, that barrier, those bars in between you, then who knows what happens next? So in business, you remove the numbers, which are the only thing that will tell you the truth, man, you're screwed. It's like being in the zoo, but there are no cages. And in business, what creates alignment are actually as strong as the bars and the cages or the glass between you and the polar bear. So if you remove the things in business like meritocracy and numbers and the hard work that it takes, which is what you and Tyler align on, you remove those things and you're no longer in the zoo, you're in the jungle, buddy.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's a dangerous world.
When you talk about alignment having to do with numbers. That's absolutely true. It also has to do with communication, and it needs both. Ultimately, we can't find alignment if we can't find common ground. And so as we talk about this today, I hopefully, well, here's what I'm going to do first and foremost. I'm going to tell you how we use alignment in Southwind to ensure that we're moving forward and creating progress in this organization. All right. So first things first, we create benchmarks. We have to understand what we're trying to achieve as an organization and in your roles individually. And then after we understand what we want to achieve, we want to decide how are we going to measure success. And that KPI, that key performance indicator, which is KPI, that is how we'll create our alignment. We'll discuss this together, and then we'll agree. And we'll say something like this. LaDrew, we'll go something like this, and we'll role play for you guys. LaDrew, how would you measure success in your role?
I measure success in my role if revenue growth is above 30%.
Okay, great. So 30% you feel like is good. I think it's probably a little bit higher than that. Would you agree with me? 35% is probably the right number?
I would like that.
Yeah.
Let's go with 35.
Okay, 35%. So what happens if we're below 35%?
That means we didn't work hard enough.
Okay.
Simply put.
What else does it mean?
It means that I was probably trying to do it all myself. It means I wasn't leading. I wasn't preparing appropriately.
Okay.
To name
all of those things, I've written them all down, and I feel like they're really good indicators of us missing our goal. If we achieve our goal, what happens?
Then I was leading. I was planning. I was collaborating with other leaders to ensure that the 35% was actually going to happen. Yeah. And I didn't only have a plan. Everybody on the team had a plan, and a large part of us hitting that number.
Well, I love that. Now we have a bit of a roadmap on what we shouldn't do and what needs to not happen in order for us to achieve this benchmark. And also what we, if we achieve it, what we've done well. Would you agree that this is how we should measure success?
Without a doubt.
Excellent. So we'll utilize this KPI at 35% of revenue growth to indicate if you're doing your job effectively or not. All right. So what you just heard there was a demonstration of how we would create alignment in Southwind inside probably a one-on-one is probably the best place to do that. We're agreeing on a key performance indicator that's going to tell us if we won or lost, basically. And I'm going to use that number as a barometer of LaDrew's performance. And if he wins, it's going to be easy for me to tell because we'll be plus 35. And if he loses, also easy for me to tell. And so if he loses, I'm not a jerk if I say, hey, looks like we had a rough month. We hit 30%, about 5% short. Were a couple of these things that we said we couldn't do if we were going to hit this number? Did that happen?
Well, let me ask you this. What if I'm at 34.62?
Oh, we lost, buddy.
But
you said 35 plus, and you said that was the number. We agreed on it as a team. You and I worked together. We agreed that was the number, and anything less than that was a loss for us. Is that right?
You're good at holding your ground.
Well,
you're exactly
100%.
right. And what I love about alignment is, man, no matter how anybody feels, 35 is 35%. And that creates the alignment, and it makes you out to not be an asshole. You're just the guy that says 35 is 35, and 34.62 is not 35.
Yeah, and I think you can still acknowledge good work. I could say, hey, LaDrew, man, I really appreciate the effort you put forth this last month. Man, we just barely missed the mark. So let's focus on what we can do next month to ensure that we hit the mark next time. What we said that had that little exchange, and it felt probably like we made it feel really simple. It's really tough, and here's why it's tough. First and foremost, alignment's tough because you have to come to an agreement. Collaboration creates buy-in. There has to be buy-in from LaDrew and myself if we're going to create alignment between each other. Okay? And so now we could be misaligned, and he could say, "Nah, man, you want 30%? I think 28 is better," and we have to come to an agreement at that point to create alignment.
Without a doubt.
But without us creating alignment, LaDrew won't ever know what a win is, and I won't ever be able to validate that he won or lost because I don't know what a win is. So lots of businesses, they operate every single day with their staff in the field or in offices dialing, and they don't have a success barometer. And so someone will come in and say, hey, I want a raise. and as a leader, you're like, well, okay. You start counting stuff. You start counting how long they've been there. You start counting if they've been late ever.
Yeah.
You start counting, did they use all their vacation time?
Yeah.
But the reality is, the only thing that matters is performance. And we have to be clear with that. In our organization, I look at two things that really are important to me. The performance, how someone performs and the results that they drive, and respect for others. Because also, to be a good teammate, you have to have a high level of respect. And both have to go hand in hand. We have to work on those at the same time because, nobody wants to be in a high performance toxic culture. You want to be in a high performance good culture that makes you feel good when you're in it.
Without a doubt. One way to gauge alignment is, do you have the things you want? We talk about the zoo. You know how I know the zoo is successful? Because people go every year. Why do people go? Because there's alignment. There's a lock on the cage. The glass is strong enough. That's alignment. So if you're working in an organization or you're a leader or you own an organization and things aren't happening that you wish were, such as being up 35%, that means there's misalignment there. And it's always something that's really, really simple. I'll actually put myself on blast because mentally I was on the stoop a little bit earlier and I needed Josh to kind of leverage, help me process something. And I asked him about my schedule for tomorrow. I was like, man, it's been a busy week for me. Man, I was thinking about maybe sleeping in a little bit later than I typically do on the weekends. What do you think about that, Josh? And he asked me this, and this is alignment. Do you have everything you want in life? No. Well, then you probably shouldn't be sleeping in. Mm-hmm. Boom. And in that, we can be aligned. All right? Like, that's super simple. Do I have everything I want? Yes or no? No. Well, it sounds like you can't afford to sleep in. Because you don't have everything you want.
Yeah, another good alignment exercise is simple goal setting. I think we oversimplify goal setting and we marginalize it. Meaning we don't understand the significance of goal setting, and it's because since you were young, everybody says set goals, dream big, and you've made these goals that are unattainable, that that there's no strategy behind, that you miss. And then it becomes a belief that, I don't believe in goal setting. But if you were to ask me right now what successful people do, they plan. And that's goal setting, really, is strategy. So if you go and you look at my laptop right now, 1, 3, and 5 year goals, I have them for my personal life. I have them for every business that we have. And part of that is, in order for me to ensure that we achieve what we're trying to achieve as an organization and myself as an individual, I have to understand where I want to get there. And that's another piece of alignment. I have a wife and 3 kids, and I need to make sure that they're aligned with the goals that we're trying to achieve as a family. Going on vacation, there's an alignment exercise there. Where would we like to go? What would we like to do? Then we start crossing off things that don't make sense based on what we're trying to accomplish. Alignment is such an important part of business and in life, and I think people skip past it because, it's uncomfortable to plan and strategize. We've had 20 podcasts so far, and we talked about planning in probably 18 of them because it's such an essential part of success. I can't say strongly enough how important it is to have a strategy for your life. Yep. And, your 1, 3, and 5 year goal is an alignment exercise that you should do with your significant other and with the people in your business group. Does this align with what we're trying to accomplish? Is this possible? Yes, it is possible, but I think we need to move these things around, or some of the things that could be talked about when you're having those strategy sessions, but really outlining what the future looks like and then coming up with realistic goals and creating strategy behind that is an alignment exercise in its own, and one that everybody can do. You don't have to own a business or run a business or lead a business, to create alignment in your life. Be clear with yourself if you won or lost. Do it with budgeting. Alignment and budgeting, if you have a significant other and you said, hey, look, we want to keep our expenditures to X amount this month, and you agree on it, shake hands, you decide what you're going to do if you've been able to achieve that and what you're going to do if you don't achieve it. You make that decision ahead of time and then let the numbers tell the story. keep your feelings out of it and let the facts tell the story. I think that's such an important part of life.
Yeah, that's a very strong, well, it's hard. It takes skill and practice to let the numbers tell the truth, to accept the truth as the truth. That's really tough to do. And when you talk about alignment, it takes the planning, which is why we will talk about it on every episode. When I think alignment, it's all about measuring what matters. First, recognize what matters and then how to measure it. You asked me at the very beginning of this episode, how do you measure success in your role? Identifying what matters, that takes a skill set and it's really important. And then measuring that is how you gain alignment. Truth be told, nobody has what they want in life. And the only way to get what you want in life is to get in alignment with what it takes. And what it takes, I promise you this, will be measurable and time sensitive. That's why there's 24 hours in a day, and that's why there's something called math and numbers. And I'm gonna let this cat out the bag. You actually don't even have to be good at math. I'm not. You just have to know if you're at 35% or not, and if that was the goal. Mm-hmm. And if the goal was 50, you just have to know 50 when you see it. Because 49, guess what? Ain't enough. Really, really simple math there, folks. If I can do it, trust me, anybody can do it. It's about identifying what matters, how to measure that thing, and then letting the numbers tell the story so that there is an agreement, no matter how we feel.
Yep.
Because our feelings will always lead us astray. But here's what I know. I know I've been talking about the zoo a lot. I like the zoo. And as long as they have those cages up, I'm going this summer. I'll be there in Casey Zoo. I'll be there. But if we ever get out of alignment and they say, hey, actually, we just like let the cages out.
Yeah,
I'm not going.
Man, I really like
really
like what you said there. And when you say measure what matters, I think you should do that in your personal and your professional life. And the best way to do that is to look at your business and look at your personal life and understand what you want to accomplish.
What matters?
Yeah, I mean that's what matters, right? Well, yeah. It's not the actions that matter. It's the end result. That's what you're trying to achieve. It's getting to where you want to go, identifying that, and then building, key results or, how you'll get there, but ultimately not compromising on what you believe to be true. We use the numbers as an indicator because it's easy for us to tell if we hit it or we missed it. That's why there's a scoreboard when you're playing football or basketball. Them say, well, I feel like the Jayhawks won. No, the Jayhawks either won or they lost because they scored more points or they scored less points than the other team, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's our scoreboard. That's the numbers are the indicators are our way to score to ensure that we win or we lose. So I think it's really important.
Yeah. So ultimately, alignment is about communication and most definitely numbers. Because as you plan and set goals, guess what's a part of that plan and the goals? Some type of number to measure it or to put a time frame on it.
Yeah.
You can't do it without the numbers. That's why I love numbers so much.
I think time frame's important. You can have you can have I want to go to do a vacation at the end of the year. Like that doesn't have to be a number, but like the end of the year, the date is the number, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you go on a vacation, you agree with your family for this many days.
Yeah.
Like when we go on vacation, that's always the biggest piece
the
for Hannah and I to gain alignment on, because she wants to go for 10 days, and I'm like, babe, no. All right, so where can we find a happy median here? Like we not 10 days, how about 6?
Yeah.
She's like, okay, well, what about 9? I'm like, no, not 9 days. Can't do 9.
She spits with her hands, says 7 it is.
7, yeah.
And then you shake it and plan the trip.
You have to, if I could give anyone advice, especially a young person, if you're a young person listening to this, young, I would say younger than 25, begin to become best friends with numbers right now. Because that's how you'll gain alignment and achieve everything you want to achieve in life. Because the numbers are damn near the only thing on this planet that will never lie to you. Mm-hmm. Because you'll definitely lie to yourself, and then you'll find someone that who will attend your pity party. Mm-hmm. And man, you're super blessed if you have people in your circle that won't attend your pity party. Yeah. Because man, most people don't have that. So if you don't have that, you better utilize the numbers. because tomorrow my alarm clock will go off at 5:50. And at 5:50 a.m., you know what time it will be?
Well, it's 5:50 a.m.
5:50 a.m.
I want to say that you said something there that I think is just incredibly important and something that we need to touch on this podcast here right now. You said that when you don't achieve the results you want to achieve, you often look for someone who will attend your pity party.
That's the first thing you do.
Yeah, isn't that? I just think that is so important to understand. That's who we are. We want somebody to agree with us at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's why I asked you, man, I've been working hard this week, bro. Should I stick to my schedule?
Yeah, we want people to agree with us to allow us to fall short because we tell ourselves lies about what success is, what could have been done, what didn't happen, why it didn't happen. Man, that is just a strong, just a really strong, important component of life.
Yeah.
Is recognizing the fact that, hey, you will lose. And when you do, guess what? It's your fault.
Yeah.
And if you didn't win, guess what? It's your fault.
Yeah.
And if it didn't happen the way you wanted it to do, it's your fault. Yeah. It's not anybody else's fault. There was always more for you to do. And if you're not getting the results you want, calling somebody else, they call that pandering. To pander to their, this didn't happen, man. I heard something like that might have not happened to you. The worst thing you could do for another human being is attend their pity party. Yeah. All you do is continue to perpetuate the bullshit that they're telling themselves. Can't do that, man. If you care about that person who you're talking to, the best thing you can tell them to do is look at the mirror. Ask them if they could have done it any differently. Help them discover where the miss was. Because the win, the success, how you get there is by accomplishing the goal. It's not about getting somebody to agree with you and moving the goal line. Man, if we're a yard short, hey, man, it's good enough for me. Don't worry about it. That is a bad thing to do for somebody. You hurt that person. That actually, that didn't help them at all. You made them weaker instead of helping them gain strength. And man, I just see that. LaDrew, I see that all the time.
Yeah. And no one's above it. The reason why I plan out my entire weekend is so that that number will stay constant for me. So that if I'm just by myself at my house and I want to co-sign my own ignorance and you deserve a break, buddy. I would have to go into my phone and delete the plan.
Yeah.
And not look at the number. Thus, getting back onto the stoop actively.
Yeah.
That's why I make a plan because, man, if I choose to do what losers do, I have to actually actively choose it and delete the plan and the alarm.
Yeah, I think, I think it's important to note that losing is okay. Some of the greatest lessons you'll learn in life come from a loss, right? It comes if you don't, for instance, LaDrew, say you decide, we talked about it, and you said you were asking, if from my perspective, would sleeping in be an effective use of your time, right? That was the goal here.
Yeah, that was the question.
And if you choose to sleep in tomorrow, that's totally okay.
Not the end of the world,
right? And here's why it's okay, because inside the failures are the learnings, and I think that you may learn that, man, that sleeping in, what it really told me is man, I can still sleep and do what I need to do.
For sure.
Or you set a goal and you lost. If you move the goal line, you don't learn from the loss, right? If I move the goal line and you were the number is 35 earlier, right?
Yep.
And you did 34. If I'm man, that's good enough, bro. Guess what? The number is now 34.
Yeah.
The number is no longer 35. It's now 34. And
Yep.
every single day I've given you an excuse to underachieve. Okay, so we don't do that here. We gotta be as leaders in this business and friends and colleagues of other business people. If they say they're gonna do something, we don't ever compromise. We can't compromise on that.
Without a doubt.
If they're not achieving the success or they're missing something, if we're not asking them to look inside first, man, we're seriously missing the point. So, that's what I would tell you. I think that I think those two components, like the attending of a pity party or, the pandering of complaints, or having the ability to like go and have a bitch session.
Yeah.
And have somebody say, yeah, you're right. They are screwing you. Yeah, you're right, man. They don't know what they're talking about. That's crazy. Don't ever do that.
Yeah.
If you do that, you're losing. I'm telling you.
Man, that's what makes this place so special. I want to circle back to something that you had said. You talked about the attending of a pity party, because you're exactly right. As far as my schedule, what time to get up, that actually doesn't matter all that much. Like, what matters is, where am I trying to go, and what are we using to measure it? Okay, so the waking up doesn't create that you hitting 35% or not necessarily, but what you do with the time that you're up does. And you have to have people that you can bounce and leverage ideas, because truth be told, plans will need adjustment. But what we're adjusting to get, that 35%, that's not changing, right? So I think that's the important part. You're either going to have people that will attend your pity parties, or people that can say, yeah, you actually can adjust this part of the plan and still hit this 35. Because the 35, that's the destination. What time you wake up Saturday, like that doesn't necessarily determine. It does impact and influence it, but that part of the plan can be adjusted, which is why that's the type of part where you need strong team members that can contribute to innovating, course correcting, etc., to hit the final number. And when I loved your advice. Well, do you have everything you want? No, I don't. I most certainly need to wake up at 5:50 because I have a lot of work to do this weekend. And man, when I wake up really early, my brain just works better. Nate, it really does. And the longer I'm up, the more stuff comes into my mind, and it's not as clean as it is first thing in the morning. And you would ask me my plan, like what I do right when I wake up.
Yeah.
But like, that's it. Who's in your sphere of influence?
Man.
You better have a damn good team, because here's what I can promise you, Nate. You're going to try to go bitch and complain to somebody and then change the plan. And if you're around the wrong people, you change the plan into the wrong plan.
You know how this manifests perfectly for everybody who can understand this? If you've been to the gym before with a lifting buddy, you know exactly what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Because we start lifting heavy. Hey, man, here's what we're doing. We're doing 3 reps of 10 on this heavy ass squat.
Let's go.
All right, man. 2 reps, or two sets in. You're at 6 reps. All right, good, man. I'm good. You good?
Hey, man, no. You said 10. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, but most people are like, yeah, I'm good, man. Let's go.
If you have the wrong partner.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go do something else. You know who I want my friend to be? The guy who's like, hell nah.
Yeah.
You said 10. You said 3 sets of 10. We ain't leaving until we get 3. We can be here all day.
That's right.
Because that's the person who really has your back.
Yeah, so guess what? In order to be aligned and to have alignment in your life, you better check and look around and see who's on your team. Because it's impossible to have alignment on the wrong team.
Man, I'll tell you what, one thing I love about my wife is she is the absolute hardest person in the world to say I'm going to do something, not do it. Hell no, not in her presence.
Man.
There ain't no way. I have to send all kinds of stuff by her. Hey, is this okay?
Man,
just to make sure we're on point. Because like she won't ever let us middle or do less.
Yeah.
So I would do this. I would tell everybody here, like, if you get to bitching about something or feeling some kind of way and air your grievances with somebody, and they listen to you and they say, yeah, you're right, man, let me tell you this: run. That is not your friend.
They're your enemy.
That person right there is going to offset you and not help you or allow you to achieve your full potential. I guarantee it. And if you go calling somebody and they don't say, man, sounds like you should look in the mirror, or hey, let's take a few steps back and see how we can unpack this issue together. Or maybe let me try to help you navigate this. If they tell you, you're right, man, you're getting screwed, you're in trouble, bro. You need new friends. You need people who have the ability to see life for the way it really is, not for this construed kind of like, I guess the best way to put it, like this place where we let mediocrity exist. You want people who want the best for you. You can't get the best for somebody by letting them lose and letting them fail. And you let people fail by agreeing with their bullshit that they're trying to tell themselves.
Man, you said it.
Started talking about alignment. We're back on something else. I don't even know what the hell we're talking about right now.
That's alignment. And Stacy keeps your ass aligned.
100%.
Without a doubt.
It's a benefit to being married to her. 100%.
Without a doubt, man. She's the real CEO of Southwind. Thank you, Stacy Herron.
That's Nathan. She's hitting him on the social stuff. Hey, tell Nathan to do this.
Yeah, she makes it happen. So you were in alignment with everything that we've talked about. So it's time to get off the stoop, because men lie, women lie. Numbers don't lie. Use these numbers to gain alignment. Keep your circle strong by having the right people in it, and get off that damn stoop.